You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures program can be found on the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Cademan, business coach at Draw In Customers Business Coaching, co-owner of Calls on Call Shared Receptionist Services, and author of the Bold Business Book, available on Amazon. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Dina of Prairie Flowers and Gifts. Dina, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Can you tell me how to pronounce your last name?
Pocernich.
Pocernich. I would have totally butchered that. So
it's not an easy one.
I appreciate that. So you own Prairie Flowers and Gifts.
I do.
How long have you owned that?
It's been 12 and a half years.
Holy cow. Okay.
I know.
So you made over a couple of humps.
Yeah.
Including a recent explosion.
Right. Yeah, we made it through the recession of 2007 through 2009 or 10, and then the explosion too. So
dang.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It goes fast.
I bet
time flies when you're having fun. Yeah.
So that means 2006.
2006, February of 2006.
That's crazy. That is awfully close. That was marginally before I started my first business. So,
okay.
Yeah, we've both seen a lot of stuff. It's crazy.
Yes.
So, did you
a lot of white knuckle days.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Did you work at a flower shop before?
I worked for this flower shop.
Did?
Yeah, the previous owner was Reed Ellingson, and I worked for him part-time.
Okay.
And I worked for him on and off for many years. I started in 1994.
Holy cow.
Yeah, because I was working for a company that was sort of thinking they're going to have to scale back and let some people go. And I was like, oh. So, approached him and said, I need a job, maybe full-time, maybe part-time. I don't know if I'll be a survivor. And I was one of the survivors. So then I just started working on Saturdays for him. Okay. Because I just wanted to. It just seemed fun. And I'm kind of idealistic sometimes. So I just like, working with flowers all day long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I worked for him and then, had babies and took some time off and then, was home with babies and said, I'm going crazy. Can I come back for Saturdays or whatever? Sure. And so that's what I did kind of on and off for years. And
nice.
And he knew that I wanted to own a business myself someday. So he was kind of always nudging me a little bit, elbowing me a little bit, saying, I want to sell this place someday. Now I find myself doing that because I'm getting there. Sure. But so when he got real serious about wanting to sell, he was really, kind of nudging me seriously.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is the opportunity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't
get this. Talk about that?
No, not at all.
So you knew at some point that you were going to own your own business, just not necessarily a flower shop.
Yeah, I didn't really know what. I mean, I was, in my late 20s, early 30s at this point, and, I wasn't really sure. I was thinking about a bed and breakfast.
Oh, wow.
Talk about idealistic, I was just like, oh, happy.
Sure.
Yeah. I was just thinking about a lot of things and didn't really know. And I still, to this day, jokingly say I don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Sure.
Everybody's searching and trying to figure out that perfect thing. And, so I knew I wanted to do that. I've always kind of found myself in leadership roles.
Sure.
And I'm kind of bossy with knowing what I want and how I like things. And, so it's sort of conducive to that. And the opportunity came along and I just went, it's now or never. I'm going to regret it if I don't do it. And I did it, took the plunge.
Nice.
So,
you had kids at the time? Or I guess
did.
Once you have kids, they don't go away, I guess.
Yeah, no, I did have kids at the time. Yeah, my oldest was a 4th grader.
Okay.
My daughter was my middle child was a 2nd grader, and I had a kindergartner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, it was kind of a strange time to be doing it, but my husband, his job allows a lot of flexibility. So he was home in the afternoons, and thank God for him because he's really held it all together for us when I am working a lot of hours. But it's I tell customers when they're like, oh, I would love to work with flowers. I'm always like, well, that's a pretty good gig.
Sure.
It is.
There's worse things, right?
There's worse things. That's right. Yeah, get a thorn every now and then, but,
flowers have that, right?
Right. It's one of the
delivering
dangers.
happiness, right?
That's right. That's how we like to think about it.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. So when you said, hey, let's talk about this, buying the business and all that jazz, was it seller financed or how did you value it?
Oh, valuing was tough. We just went to a couple different people. he had his stats and all that good stuff.
Sure.
We actually went to the Bank of Sun Prairie.
Oh, wow.
And they were very supportive and awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're still my bank, and I love them, and, and they're a great partner. Yeah. And you have to do all that stuff where you have the business plan and all that. And I did all that and did my research. Presented it to them, and, the historical data was there. So they were fully supportive of it.
Sure.
And it was pretty easy.
Okay.
Buying an existing business is a lot different than starting your own from scratch. I mean, I always say I took the easy way out and bought an existing business because that would be a lot. So, and it was a lot for me buying this business. It was a huge learning curve. Even though I'd worked for him before, I didn't have to make the kind of decisions or think about the kind of things that you do when you're the owner. So it was a whole different ball of wax.
Or have stuff affect you, I imagine, right?
What was that?
An employee doesn't show up or something like that.
Yeah.
And you as an employee would be like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Too bad for you.
You as the owner, it's a different story.
Exactly. The buck stops here. And so, I got to figure it out and make it work. And it was a big learning curve, but I like challenges. And I really found almost all my positions that I'd had before that, I master a position within about a year and a half, and then I'm bored. What's next? What's new? It. And I've never had that experience owning my own business. Sure. So it's beautiful that way. I mean,
never bored.
Yeah, I'm never bored. No. Well, maybe I'm starting to a little bit now. But it's because I've sort of got it down, and so it is becoming a little bit easier for me, but I'm just enjoying that too. So
no, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Totally understand.
Right.
I can tell you the businesses that I've sold or helped people sell, boredom was a key factor, or just the lack of a next rung. Yeah. Once you're the business owner and you got it going, you're making some money, it almost loses the challenge. Yeah. It's like you reach the top of the mountain, so the next step is go back down.
Right. Yeah. I think, for me, I've always tried to improve and just keep it going. And retail is a really volatile kind of a industry. So, I never have felt like I've arrived. Like I'm, so you're always still trying to strive and do better. But yeah, you do, I've been through, one of the things, I really try to help people that I know that are starting a business and need a little bit of help. For example, there's Faded Roots. She just opened a boutique in town here, and really nice gal. I was talking to her and I was saying, my early years when we'd have a slowdown of business, I was freaking out because, and this is not private information. Almost everybody knows this. We mortgaged our house to buy this business.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So I was like, we're going to go under. I was really scared. But then the longer you're with it, you just begin to just realize that there's ups and there's downs. There's just a rhythm to the whole business cycle, and it's going to come back again. And so it just, once you start to realize that and you understand that, then you can relax about it and then utilize that time to plan for the next rush or whatever.
Right.
So
when things are going so crazy that you can't pay attention.
Exactly. Yeah. So just get some of that stuff done that you can't do other times. And so really just, taking use of that time and just good time management.
Sure.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Are you glad you bought the business?
Yeah. Overall, I am. It has been good, and I work with my staff is amazing. I think they're awesome, nice. and they've all kind of become family, and so it's great. We have staffing issues at times with just needing more people because people leave just because of life situations. Yeah. But I have a really awesome staff, so they make life pretty great.
Nice.
And, we have a good time. We have a sign hanging up that says, "You don't have to be crazy to work here. We'll train you."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun, and it's a good gig.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me, you mentioned the whole retail thing. I have some friends that have retail stores, and I have friends that have restaurants, which is essentially just retail food.
Right.
So can you tell me about the retail landscape and, I guess, good, bad?
It's changing, and I'm not sure I totally understand the changes. I think a lot of the online stuff with people ordering from Amazon is really beginning to, I mean, you see it everywhere. It's probably not news to you or any of your listeners. You know, Boston store closing, Toys R Us closing, all these retailers are closing. They're struggling to make it because consumers can go online and get it really quickly. And I'm just as guilty. I mean, I like going online and, you know, that elusive little thing that I can't seem to see anywhere. I just type it in and poof, it pops up and there it is, and you'll get it the next day or a couple days.
Sure.
It's tempting. It's surely tempting. So, you know, I do think it hurts. It hurts when people are looking for price. And they're just price shopping because I don't know if you remember the old ads from, I think it was Yellow Pages, let your fingers do the walking.
Sure.
And, you know, save you a lot of time. You just look in the phone book. Well, no. Now it's your computer. Let your fingers do the walking, and you can find out the cheapest price really quick. So I think that's what the challenge in the retail world has been, and it is a challenge for me. What's always a challenge as a small business person is that I don't have the buying power to buy tons of stuff like Target does.
Oh, sure.
So that you can get the lowest price and then make the best margins and all that. So we're always really struggling with that.
Sure.
It's just, I can't compete on price. There's just no way. So really kind of what and we've always been like this, is we try to make shopping at Prairie Flowers an experience and a delightful experience.
Sure.
Hopefully. So that's really,
right.
I mean, so we're really hoping that people come in there and feel a sense of warmth and community and connection. And we know a lot of our customers by name, and we josh around with a lot of our customers and have fun with them and, you know, help people make decisions or whatever. But it is more of an experience. And and that's what we're trying to do. So we're hoping that sets us apart a little bit from some of the, some of the big box retailers that are struggling with price comparisons and stuff. And I think most consumers understand, or at least I hope they do, with local businesses, use it or lose it. You don't shop there, they're going to go away. But I feel like the people of Sun Prairie and our surrounding area really have a sense of that and understand that. And they're really sensitive to it. When the explosion happened, and I don't know who was saying it on the news. They were saying, shop downtown, get downtown, you know, support downtown. There were so many lovely people that came in.
Oh, it's awesome.
And I mean, sales went up for us for a little bump. Not hugely, but it was, you could tell it was people making a concerted effort to get downtown and spend some money and ask how we're doing. And it just was so heartwarming and in the face of such tragedy and scary things. And people were just wonderful. They still ask, you know, people that haven't talked to us since then. Right. Were you guys affected? And, you know.
Well, I mean, it's still fresh in their mind.
It is. Yes. You see it every day. Or I see it every day. But Yeah. So.
That's crazy. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about retail, because I was in your store today, and I have to apologize because it's been a while since I've been in there. And I had no idea that you guys had so much other stuff beyond just flowers.
Oh, yeah. We have a ton of stuff.
I don't know if you want to explain what you have. There's so much.
Sure. Yeah, we really do. Besides the flowers and the plants, blooming plants, green plants, I have greeting cards. We have ladies' accessories like scarves and jewelry and a little bit of clothing, not a ton. Purses. There's a line of soaps and lotions. It's really awesome. We have a lot of home decor items. Socks are one of the other accessories I forgot about. Those are probably our most popular gift item right now. Nice. I call them sassy socks. That's not the brand name. It's Blue Q is the brand name, but they are very sassy and fun, and we get a lot of chuckles of the people that are reading them. And then we have a new line actually we created that we're pretty excited about. Nice. We had it made. One of my staff members was at a touristy town in Michigan, came across this product that she loved, and so we called back to that store, found out who made those for them. And we got a hold of the artist and we gave her a few ideas. And so we had some Sun Prairie mugs, some little dessert plates, and some Christmas ornaments made that say keep on the sunny side. And they have the state of Wisconsin. And there's a little heart by Sun Prairie and it says Sun Prairie on there.
Very cool.
Because we feel like, especially after the explosion, we really saw a surge in pride over Sun Prairie and deservedly so. I mean, we have a really awesome community. and I think people began to appreciate it and see it. And so we were like, we need to do something, but we didn't really want to, go off the Sun Prairie Strong thing. We just wanted it to be Sun Prairie is really awesome. Let's make some product that people are going to be proud of. And so we're really excited about that. I mean, we've shipped it to people and cool. It's cool. Yeah. So, so we have that, and then just, artificial flowers and containers to make things with. And, come wintertime, Christmas time, the place is all glittered out with. There's just lots of glitter everywhere. Sure. And it's usually all over our faces as well.
It is the season.
Oh, yeah. But it's beautiful, and people are excited. And so, we'll help them do porch pots if they want, or make wreaths for their homes. We do a lot of events, actually, flower-wise. I'm going back to flowers and not retail, I guess. But we do a ton of events, like Christmas parties, any party, really, retirement party, 50th anniversary parties. So we do a ton of that kind of work. So we help people find unique and interesting containers to put them in. And so sometimes those containers are out in the gift area. So we kind of double dip on that so that we can utilize them and make really creative stuff. Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. Stuff like that, I guess I've always wondered with the flower shop logistically, you get an order in, I don't know, the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day is actually running around delivering them, or how does that work?
Well, we have a driver that's their specific job is to do deliveries, and we're doing deliveries all day long. I mean, we have timed ones to funerals, timed ones to weddings, and then everything in between. But we take orders pretty late in the day, honestly. And if we can get it out, we will get it out. Sure. It just kind of depends on who's there and how that all works. But if we're able to, we sure will. So we're kind of making flowers all day long. Wow. And then, when we're not making one for that day, then we're working on maybe an event that's later in the week and organizing things. We had homecoming a couple weeks ago, so that consumed us for a whole week.
Just little boutonnieres?
Boutonnieres and corsages. Yep, we do a ton of those. So I shipped in 4 extra staff members.
Oh, wow.
So we basically doubled our staff.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And customers can tell they walk in and they're like, whoa, what's going on? What are all these people here? Yeah. And so, homecoming prom, those are little mini holidays for us. Sure. That's a big booming business. So that's awesome. So there's lots of things that most people don't really think about that, we're doing things for. But fundraisers, we do that. A lot of dance recital places want to be able to sell flowers at the event, at the performance. So that when Grandma and Grandpa come and they want to be able to give their grandchild a little something, they can buy them from them. And then, so we get them in for, that company. Sure. And then they can make a little bit of money off of it too. All right. So, so we just do a whole... stuff? That's probably the biggest one. We've done a little bit with the schools, but they're not doing that anymore. A couple of years ago, for a number of years, Patrick Marsh would have the kids buy carnations for their friends. Oh, sure. And so then they would buy a bunch, and we gave them a really good price so that they could make some money off of it. I think their student council ran it. So, if anyone comes to us with an idea, we are always willing to help and figure out ways to get involved and do something like that if we can. So, nice. Yeah, we just kind of we do a lot of different things. All right, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. It's fun.
So let's downshift into employees, because that's always a thing. Yes. The employees that you have they've been with you for a while?
Yeah, Teresa Bauman is my assistant manager. She has been with me 11 and a half of my 12 and a half years.
Holy cow, okay.
Yes. Wow. And then, everyone's been at least 4, 5, 6 years.
Oh, congrats on that.
Yeah. That's huge. I have an awesome staff. Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
And then you're looking, it sounds like, right?
I do. I have an opening for a floral designer right now. The gal that left moved back home to her hometown of Eau Claire. So we have a position open that we've partially filled, and then we're looking for another person to fill the other part of that. And so we're willing to train people as long as they're creative and have the desire to learn. Sure. We've all been on the job and learned on the job ourselves, so we're willing to teach. And I like to tell people, like when I'm interviewing floral designers, get them an idea of our culture. And our culture really that I try to build is that we're all learning all the time from each other. And everybody has a bad design day where you're making something and it's just not coming together like you're envisioning. And, you know, I want it to be good for somebody to turn to someone else and say, help me out here. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. What can I do better? You know, and that's really the culture that we're trying to build. And then also if, you know, somebody puts out a clinker for someone else to feel comfortable saying, well, let's fix that a little bit. You know, I mean, it happens. Everybody has bad days, especially creatively when you're trying to do things differently. So yeah, you know, I think a lot of times, and I do that at the interview level typically because I'm trying to set the stage for the culture that I'm really looking for.
Okay. When you say do that, you mean have them put together?
No, talk about that I want that kind of culture of learning, continuously learning, feeling comfortable enough to say to somebody else, you know, can you help me?
Sure.
Because I want that from the outset to be that they understand that that's the way it works and that's kind of the way we are.
Sure.
I think one of the things that has really helped with our culture and the longevity of employees is really, you know, when I worked, I had small children and they had health issues and I was having to doctor a lot. Okay. So I sometimes felt like I was in the doghouse when I had to like leave for an appointment and I came back and I didn't like that. I mean, I was a good, strong employee who always made up the time, but I didn't like being in the doghouse because I have a family obligation. So that's the other thing that I really try to get across to my employees when I'm interviewing them is that the culture that I create is that family's number one. This business can come and go, but family is number one. It is to me, and I'm assuming it is, you know, to the person sitting across from me. And I fully understand that, and I don't expect people to, you know, not take care of what they need to take care of. So, you know, we set that as a real give and take. And it really works beautifully. I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, when people need the time, we say, go do it. Even if it is busy, go. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. Just go take care of your family, do what you need to do. And then when times are busy and we need someone to stay longer because it's busy and crazy, they do. And it's just this wonderful give and take that we have. And it's just made it really nice. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it helps. I don't know that all small business people kind of understand that flexibility is such an easy thing to give, in my opinion. It's such an easy thing to give. It really doesn't cost us anything to give that to employees. And when you understand that their family is number one to them, you know, it just goes a long way. And people are able to do what they need to do and then come back to work and not have that burden and that worry and whatever. So, I mean, and I have the same, you know, I want the same thing. When my family needs me, I want to be able to go and not feel like the whole place is going to fall apart because I'm not there. And they give that to me. And so that's why they're awesome. So
yeah, I can tell you from talking with a lot of businesses, one, there's a ton that don't understand that there's a culture in business. They're not consciously aware of it. So, which means that if they're not consciously aware of it, when it just shows up. Good or bad.
Or somewhere in between,
evil culture, maybe evil's the wrong word, but more of a dark cloud culture kind of thing, or people are pitted against each other, or the fun-loving culture, which may be accidentally showing up. But when you're conscious that culture's a thing, what culture do we want? It takes you to a different level. Yeah,
you have to be really cognitive about what you're looking for. And I remember having the thought well before I bought this business that if I ever had a business, I wanted to have a business where moms like myself could work and have that flexibility and not be pulled and have that. I mean, moms, we're awesome at guilting ourselves out about our families and that we haven't done enough or whatever. Who needs that? You know, take care of your family. And then I don't think you're going to be a very great employee if you're stressed about that you haven't taken care of what you need to take care of. So, but you know, it is a definite give and take. And you know, I have had an employee in the past who kind of took that as permission to just like she can not be there whenever she wants, and that didn't really work out. She was failing to understand the whole give and take, and that it's really a privilege and it's use it when you need it, not just because you don't feel like working. but you know, she was really an exception to the rule. Generally, people get it and they're very appreciative, and then longevity follows, because I think people understand that you care about them and their life and the bigger idea of them, not just like from 9 to 5, but the bigger idea of who they are and what's important to them. And so, yeah, I mean,
yeah, I can totally agree with that. I've seen employees, both of my own employees from other businesses, where when you have the culture that understands that there's a priority of family ahead of the business, generally speaking, most of the time, those employees that adhere to that stick around and they're loyal, and they understand that when they are gone, they're only leaving for something that's on the verge of an emergency or crisis, or maybe set special ball game or whatever they want to see.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And the people that start to abuse that, they leave themselves out so fast, because it's easy to tell when they're abusing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just not it's not part of the culture. It's not that give and take. And so yeah, I mean, you can see it really. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. You can see it right off the bat. But I don't, I mean, I think this particular employee, I don't think that, she saw it that way. I think she was young and, maybe just not as aware of the bigger picture of things. So, still a good person.
I mean, it's our job, but I don't need
this particular job,
regardless of loyalty or culture or whatever. I go chase my quarter or go chase, insert benefit here. Which these employers leaves us challenged, I guess. But we can only do so much, right? Pay so much.
Right.
And we can only talk up to so much.
Right. Yeah.
Like parking, whatever issue is. Which in a few years will probably slip like the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it always does cycle. The pendulum swings in most things. Yeah, it is a challenge, and I don't know if I should go into politics, but I'm a super big believer in healthcare for all. Sure. And the one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize how it would impact our country is that small businesses like mine, that's one area that I lose people to.
It's the biggest thing.
They need benefits, A lot of the people that work for me, they get their healthcare through their spouse, and so it works. But as soon as their spouse gets laid off and doesn't have a job, they have to go find a job that's got health care. And so that's the number one thing that I lose people to. So I think, if we had something like healthcare for all, small businesses would have so much more leverage in the workplace. But also I think more entrepreneurs would feel willing to take that jump to start their business. Because that's a big reason why, it's like now I'm going to have to pay my own, and that can be very expensive all on your own. Yeah. So I think entrepreneurs would feel a lot more like taking risk if we had something like that. So.
It's weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
How much something which should be simple as healthcare. Yeah. It's literally becoming something like
Yeah, it's limiting it in so many ways too. I mean, the other thing is like you think about retirement. People that want to retire early, and like me, I'd love to retire early. But you have to think about the fact that now we're going to have to pay for healthcare on top of it, and then you don't have the income, so you're trying to figure out how to make that happen. I just think. Politically, some people, push it off as like people don't they want everything for free, or it's because they can't, whatever. They're freeloaders. I don't think that's the case. I think there's so many different areas that most people don't even realize they would have an impact. Besides the fact, in my opinion, it's a human right. But that's a whole.
Right. I just saw that as to allow small businesses to do the same thing.
It would be awesome. Yeah. It would be awesome, yeah. So, but we'll see. We'll see which direction the pendulum swings with everything. So we'll see. But I think our country is struggling, but I think it's essentially filled with good. Sure. We're going to be okay.
Sure.
We do. Right. Exactly. Yeah, we'll figure things out. Eventually. So.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It'll work itself out.
Yep.
So let's talk about internet a little bit, because you talked about that. Mm-hmm. So you have a website?
I do. It's Prairie Flowers and Gifts.
Oh,
or you can also find it by flowersandprairie.com.
Okay.
Yep,
Nice.
.com.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can order online.
Okay.
You can look at it for ideas and call it. You know, people can call us if they need to. Yeah, it's got lots of stuff on it.
Nice.
So, and we don't have everything at any given moment that's on our website.
Sure.
I like to tell people it's really a good place for ideas. Like I just had a person who placed an order today, and she was like, "Yeah, I just want a nice fall bouquet." And I was looking on your website, and really, I think the price point that I see most of them is like $40, $50. So yeah, do something like that.
Sure.
So she looked at it for ideas, see what size and what colors, and then she called us, and that was awesome.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we like it
Nice.
like that.
So, generally speaking, the internet's been good for you?
It has,
Okay.
yeah. It helps labor, basically.
Sure.
Because, then with that case, I did end up taking the order, but a lot of times they're keying it in, and so it prints out for us, and boom, we're ready to roll.
Yeah, make this thing up, send it up.
Yep, it prints, it comes out of our printer and lets us know, boom, there's an order.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Cool.
yeah, you can't complain too much about that. And then, it just gives consumers a way to get a hold of you.
Sure.
When, you can't be there all the time. So, I think we've got pretty generous hours for most retail,
Sure.
small retail like this. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, and then Saturdays, 8:30 to 3. And then
Okay.
we're closed on Sundays. So, people can get us on those off times.
Sure.
And
Oh, yeah.
so,
I
yeah,
get it.
it's all good.
Nice. So I'm going to shift. I have a couple things to ask you more. One is marketing. What have you... Sorry, maybe we just skipped over.
No, it's just like, it's the bane of all,
Sure.
small business owners. It's hard.
Self-health care and then fix marketing, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Marketing is just tough. It's trial and error, and a lot of times you don't know whether what you've done is
Sure.
effective. You're just hoping that someone will mention that they saw it, so that you know that it had an impact. So we just try a lot of different things and just keep moving.
Sure.
One of the things that we really figured out that has been effective for us is we realized a long time ago, Teresa Bauman, my assistant manager, has got a ton of experience in this background. So a lot of times I turn to her to give me advice on what to do. So she's sort of been instrumental in helping us figure out a direction. But we figured out a number of years ago that our product really is a very visual product.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so we teamed with Beans and Cream, and we provide flowers on their tables, and they let us put our business cards in there, and people can see our product every day when they're going there. And, it's just been a great partnership.
Sure.
And I think when you're a small business person and, you cooperate with other small business people, it really just builds your network of support. And so that's actually, and then in other years, we've done things like just complimentary, put a rose and a bud vase on a table at a restaurant and put our business card in there. That business is appreciative, and we get our name out there, and people can see our product, and so that, believe it or not, is actually been a pretty good marketing method for us.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's it costs money, but not nearly as much as ads.
Oh, no.
Ads are so
Advertising of-
expensive.
advertising of the typical thing that you think of.
The typical-
magazines, TV, radio, newspaper.
Newspaper,
whatever.
yeah, yep. Those are
a lot of
so.
cash, yeah.
I don't think the general consumer really understands how expensive it is.
No.
In fact, one of my employees overheard me saying how much it was, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, and for something that you're not really totally sure is working.
No, you don't know until after you spend the money, right?
Yeah,
So
and even then you might not know.
Right.
I mean, there's a ton of things that we've tried, and we're not even totally sure if it worked.
Right.
But you're just trying to sprinkle it out there so that people know you, and probably the bigger thing is just having a really good reputation. And people knowing that we really are putting our heart and soul into it.
Sure.
We might screw up sometimes, sure, we're human.
Human, so
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but we want to make it right, and we put our heart and soul into it, and so I think that comes across, and people
Sure.
understand that. So
Sure. You raise another interesting point with the whole not perfect thing. Not outside of the human error being what it is.
Right.
But you're also selling a product that essentially grows out of the ground,
right,
which
Yeah.
there's going to be some...
there's a lot of variation.
Right. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Well, we try to educate our consumer of about it. A good example would be like when a bride wants something like a calla lily in her wedding, a mini calla.
Okay. I'm going to pretend that I know what that is.
Yeah, it's a really pretty flower, and it's special, and they're kind of expensive, and so they're kind of a premium flower,
Sure.
and gorgeous in a bouquet. But I've done weddings. There's times you get them and they almost look as big as a standard calla lily, and then there's times I remember doing a wedding in November, and they came in and they were so tiny.
Oh no.
And it's just the variation that happens with the growing conditions and some of that kind of stuff.
Nature.
Yeah, and then you check with other suppliers trying to get something bigger and better, and they all look the same. Everybody's dealing with the same thing. And so, it's just really, educating the consumer that there is going to be that variation. But, the flower business, they've really kind of got it down to a science.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand that sometimes customers will comment to me like, roses don't smell anymore. And I say, well, the smell has been bred out of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the people that are,
yes. Okay.
Well, I think the people that do it would keep it if they could, but they're usually trying to breed for things like shelf life and head size and petal count and the amount that it bruises and that kind of thing. And so sometimes the fragrance gets kind of like last thing, but
interesting.
So that's just one of those things where you're just trying to let people know that there's going to be variation, and that's just kind of the way it is. So but there is quite a science to it. So if you're looking for colors, we know the different varieties that are different colors, and and then there's some variation in between that, but people are generally pretty flexible about stuff. So it's pretty easy generally.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
For something like flowers, is it tough to make people happy?
No,
or generally
it's not.
Is it pretty easy?
It's pretty easy generally.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a certain percentage of the population that likes to be in control of everything.
Sure.
And so they want to know exactly.
Right.
And
regardless of if that's realistic or not.
Yes, exactly. But generally, people are pretty flexible. I mean, and flowers are beautiful.
Right.
You can't really go wrong that much on them. Sometimes, there might be a quality issue where, like a whole vase of Gerbera daisies, they all look great, but one went,
gotcha.
That just happens, and we'll replace it if that happens. But generally, people understand that, and they're flexible and easygoing, and and just so long as it looks pretty and it's delivered on time and all that good stuff. Boy, delivering is actually a really fun job.
Is there? Oh, I suppose.
You get to see happy faces. Sure. Yeah, people are so excited. And, if you deliver to an office place, they're running down the hall. They're so excited, and their coworkers are jealous, and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty fun. Yeah.
So how do you deal with it with delivering flowers in the wintertime? I imagine when it gets really cold.
Yeah. Well, we wrap them.
Okay.
We wrap them in plastic, and then when it's really below zero, we double wrap. And then, and sometimes we'll call from our van and say we're outside because, or if it's really horrible, we may just say, can we deliver tomorrow? It's going to be nicer out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
it's 30 below today.
Yeah. It's just it's not going to be, it's not going to be good. There's no number of layers of plastic that we can do that's going to insulate this poor thing. So it's, but you can usually tell, if the petals get black, it's been frosted.
Gotcha.
So so we can usually tell if anything goes wrong that was the culprit.
Okay.
So
Is there an ideal temperature?
Yeah, we keep our coolers at 40, which 40. Is the same as a refrigerator.
Gotcha. Okay. But, so when the wholesalers come to you, if they have refrigerated trucks or heated trucks or I don't know.
They are refrigerated. Yeah, if it's flowers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep, and it's the same temperature as a refrigerator at home, but the moisture level is a little different. So,
gotcha. Okay.
But service specialist takes care of us on all that, so
all right.
I don't have to worry about that. That's their problem. They do what they need to do.
Nice.
So
since you bought your business, let's shift into you as the owner. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had to deal with that maybe you didn't expect or even know existed?
Challenges. Well, marketing.
Okay.
Fair. I don't know. Let me think. Challenges. I don't know. I think on a general level, it's probably having to wear all those hats.
Oh, sure.
You know how that is. I mean, when the computers are acting up, you're the IT person. When somebody, gets hired, you're the one who's doing all the HR stuff and managing and ordering, and it's just wearing so many hats, and you can't know everything, so you're just kind of like, getting along as best you can, and a lot of times, really relying on, say, a salesperson who's gonna like sell you your software or something like that to I don't have the time to like investigate this whole situation and how many So when you're talking to a salesperson, you really are kind of relying on their expertise and their ability to help guide you towards what you really need, kind of thing. So.
Not always the best position to be in.
No, but so just needing to be the expert at so many different things is so impossible and can be stressful. Other challenges, let me think. I don't know. My staff is awesome. Yeah, just little things come along, but they're usually solvable.
Okay.
So
sure.
I don't know.
Not too big of a deal.
Not too big of a deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I can usually solve it. The recession was tough, a little bit tough. I mean, we white knuckled it through that.
Sure. I suppose that happened.
Not long after I bought. Yeah. So it was a little challenging. I actually, kind of came up with a little creative solution. I thought at the time. We had all our giftware, and it costs money to buy that and have it in your store. And I did not want, for our inventory, I didn't want to spend money. First of all, just like everybody else, you're just like trying to conserve your money and like just ride it out.
Yeah.
But I didn't want the shelves to be empty and for people to come in and think that we're going out of business or something.
Right.
So it was like, how do you solve that dilemma?
Sure.
So I had kind of come up with, trying to find like local artisans that would create little products and stuff, and then we would sell them on consignment.
Oh, nice.
So then really we didn't have to pay for it until it's sold.
So the shelves are full.
The shelves are full.
Stuff,
and we had we had great artists with interesting things, and so I thought that was a pretty creative solution to that issue, and it really did help us ride it out. It wasn't such a great solution that I wanted to stay with it permanently. It was kind of administratively a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Then you have all those vendors, right?
Yes, and just their inventory in and out and all that kind of stuff.
And vendors, I imagine, where you're dealing with artisans, not necessarily companies, so to speak.
Exactly.
So getting a hold of them.
Yeah, getting a hold of them, and then like when we needed to restock because something was selling well and they didn't have it, and so it was a challenge on some of those levels. So even though I think it helped us like ride out the recession, and it was a pretty good solution for that, it just wasn't really the end all be all that I wanted it to be, and so. Yeah, you just do what you got to do. And we, I had some an employee leave just due to attrition. She moved back to Indiana, and we just didn't fill a position. And, so we just did some of that kind of stuff to make it through the recession. And I think that's what you got to do is just ride it out.
Yeah, just ebbs and flows of business.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Moving on.
Yep. Have a good attitude and just keep plugging along. So.
What have been some of your favorite things about being a business owner?
Oh, gosh. I think just getting to make all those decisions. I love it and I hate it. So sometimes at the end of the day, my husband's like, what do you want to have for dinner? And I'm like, I don't want to make another decision.
I've made all of my decisions on you.
I filled my quota for the day. But it is fun, too, because you get to sort of have the final say and just get to decide and choose and do what you think is the best thing. That being said, I think I'm pretty democratic with my staff. I think they're all pretty smart, and I turn to them a lot. I say, what do you guys think? Because sometimes somebody will have a different approach to like what a problem is or how to solve it, and so I like getting everybody's chiming in and hearing what they've got to say, and so yeah, it's fun. I think particularly a small business where we get to have that one-on-one with our customers. It's just, I just love the environment. It just is a happy place to be.
Nice.
And I like coming to work every day.
That's a huge thing.
It's huge. It is huge. Yeah.
I ask employees, or potential employees, I should say, so when you're driving to work at your last job, were you dreading it, or was it something that you look forward to? And sometimes kind of tell, not necessarily that would make or break them getting the job. Right. But kind of learn, like, have you ever had a job where you were it doesn't even have to be excited.
Right.
But just not that you're dreading it. Right?
Yeah.
Not a negative thing. To
Right. Yeah, you're just trying to learn like their attitudinal approach to those situations and how they handle those kinds of things. Yeah.
I feel like
those are good questions.
Society have this like, ooh, thank God it's Friday kind of thing, and the whole, oh my gosh, Mondays again, where's my coffee, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're taught almost that work is a burden.
Right.
And then it's not something to be enjoyed, right? Because if you enjoy your work, you must not really be working kind of thing, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I feel like people feel like they have to hate work.
Right, yeah.
And realistically,
that'd be awful.
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think we've all had jobs that have been difficult. I always jokingly tell people, you know, when you talk about, like, with your kids about, like, you might have to work a bad job. I always feel like I have, like, the number one. I was a pickle packer at the Dean Foods plant up in Green Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, like, I always beat everybody on, like, the weirdest, worst job.
I get the impression it would stink.
Smell, you mean? Like fragrance? No, it actually wasn't that bad.
Okay.
No, because the brining happened right at the end.
All right.
So, yeah, there was like 2 conveyor belts going by, one with pickles, one with jars, and you stuck them in there, and you had a mallet, and you pounded it in there, and
really?
seriously,
That's awesome.
seriously. It was,
All
it was a summer in college. I had
right.
that job, yeah. So everybody's got bad jobs, but how do you handle it? And, you know, what are you going to make of it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that great of a job, but I didn't have a whole lot of other choices, and I knew I needed the money for college, and so I just did it. And honestly, I was actually really proud of myself because there were a lot of other college students that quit after a week. And I was just like, I'm not a wimp.
No.
Heck no, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I had pretty nice arms at the end of that summer.
Nice.
So,
and you didn't have to make a whole lot of decisions, right?
Nope.
Outside
Oh
of, should I
gosh, you
hit
did
harder?
the same thing The big thing that made it exciting is every 15 minutes you moved further down the conveyor belt.
Oh.
You got to change position every 15 minutes.
Well, shook it up a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was crazy exciting. Whoa, we're getting crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know why I told that story. That's a stupid story, but
No, it's fun. It's always good to hear because people assume that when you own your own business, you must have 3 yachts and
oh gosh,
all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily know or realize that you were an employee. More than likely, you're an employee at some given time, so you understand what the other side of the table is dealing with.
Sure, absolutely.
That sometimes there's challenges coming into work, and sometimes you have to deal with suspect coworkers and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you're asked to do jobs that you think this is a huge waste of time. Why are we doing this?
Right. Or just yucky grunt jobs like taking the garbage out or whatever. And
Yeah, I can remember I worked at a movie theater and we were changing the sign, the marquee outside. This is back before digital signs were a thing. And we had to have a ladder that was on top of the scaffolding. And I was out there, I was probably 16 years old, it's wintertime. This is in Eau Claire, actually. Just freezing cold on this ladder. We're working with these plastic letters, and they keep breaking because it's so cold.
Oh, it's so bitter,
We got this little stick with the suction cup we're dealing with. And I'm out there with a coworker, and he's on the scaffolding, not on the ladder, and he's smoking, and he was just complaining about how cold it was. And I was the one that was actually putting the letters up and trying to, like, what was the name of the movie? How do we spell that? Because sometimes you have some obscure spellings or whatever.
Sure.
You're trying to dink around with this thing, shattering letters. And I'm like, I'm the one doing all the work. You're the one doing all the complaining. Why don't you get your butt up here?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes attitude goes a long way.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. It's huge for every part of your life. So, yeah.
Yeah, night and day.
When you figure that out, you're golden.
This is easy.
Yeah.
Ain't no thing.
Right.
Do you have any advice that you give someone that was considering? Let's start with considering buying a business.
Advice. Just know what you're getting into. Just do the research. Understand all the aspects of that industry and that job. I mean, there's always going to be things that come at you, but just I did the business plan, and it forced me to go and do research on who are my competitors. I mean, you can just go on the internet and find what does a business plan look like. It's like competitors and all these different kind of things you got to find out. Well, it was good for me to go do that.
Oh, I bet.
As
the future business owner of that business,
yeah.
you better know that.
Yeah. I mean, really put some thought into how am I going to be different and what's going to be different about me. And so, I think, just so long as you go in clear-eyed. I think one of the things that I didn't realize, when I was buying, people would be like, oh boy, lots of hours, a lot of work.
Sure.
And I thought, well, I'm a hard worker. That's fine. No big deal. I'm a hard worker.
Sure.
What's the big deal?
Right.
And for the most part, that is true. I think the one thing about owning a business that's different, though, is that it really doesn't leave your mind.
Oh, right.
It's
You're never off.
24/7. You're never off.
Sure.
It's always in the back of your mind. You know, as new seasons are coming or payroll is coming or whatever, you know, you're at home and it's rolling through your mind. And the buck stops here. So, you know, you're trying to make sure that everything is done and taken care of and in place and, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, that's the one thing that I didn't fully appreciate. I just thought, yeah, hard work, yeah, sure, no problem. And I think most people probably do think that, you know, like, yeah, I'm a hard worker, no biggie. But it's, you know, understanding that that mental burden, that it is. I mean, it's a good burden, but it is a burden.
No, totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
My wife always jokes that she's like, James, you got a pen? I'm like, yeah, I always got a pen. She's like, you got a business card? I always got a business card. She's like, it's Saturday, we're at the pool. What are you doing with the business cards?
Oh, right.
You bring them everywhere.
Yeah. You're always thinking about it. It's like almost like having another child.
Sure.
You know, it's just your baby that you gotta, you know, you're the mom. You're the responsible one. You gotta take care of it and make sure everything's good.
Maybe that you get to sell eventually.
Yeah, that's the hope. I would love to retire early. So yeah, I mean, as much as I love it, I think, you know, it excites me to think about passing it on to somebody else too.
Sure.
And really seeing somebody else have the opportunity that I was also given when I was younger. And you know, that's a cool thing to get to watch somebody else.
Right? So you're nudging your assistant manager now? Or?
Yeah, she's not interested. No, I wish. She'd be great. She could totally do it. She just chooses, I don't think that's where she sees her life going. So, yeah. But the right person will come along when the time is right. And I'm a firm believer in that. And, yeah, I just stick with that belief that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. And the right time. Because I don't think I'm really ready right now.
Sure.
No, I mean, I'm thinking 5-8 years down the road, but
Oh, in small business years, that's forever.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's all right.
yeah, I know 5 more Valentine's days. Oh boy.
So is that Valentine's Day, Mother's Day? Those have to be crazy for you, right?
They're so crazy. People really don't understand. It's like I always try to describe it like this: we do a month's worth of business in a week. Or in a couple days, a month's worth of business. So yeah, you're planning well in advance.
Okay.
You know, trying to get as much stuff done as you can, and just plan.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's crazy and it's exhausting. And you know, when I first bought the business, you know, at the end of it, I was exhausted. But now I'm not bouncing back quite as quickly as I used to.
All right.
Because your body is just tired.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
Do you bring in temporary help then, or how do you get it all
Yeah,
done?
if we can. Yeah, we do bring in temporary help. We have, you know, because I've maintained relationships with some of my former employees, if they're just retired or something, I'll ask them to come back and help us out, and they do, which is awesome.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right.
We couldn't survive without it, really. I mean, it's amazing. And that's what we do for homecoming and all those kinds of things. We pull in extra people. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a good
works.
Relationship with the community and all that, which is
I think so.
That's incredible.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we try to do what we can. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things you want to do because it's your community and you care about it and stuff. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Dina, I have one more question for you. Just since you own a flower shop, and every once in a while I order flowers, can you give some advice for people like me that don't know what they're ordering?
You know, I would say if you could leave it up to the designer, that's the best way.
Okay.
Send us in a little bit of a direction.
Sure.
You know, just say like, oh, send a nice fall bouquet, or she really likes pink, or
I would just say something with stems.
Yeah, exactly. We love that because it gives us creative license, and then that's what makes our job fun.
Sure.
But we understand sometimes there's an important thing like yellow lilies are significant to her for this reason, and we want to accommodate that whenever we can. But generally, I think if we could have more leeway, that's awesome.
Nice.
And we think that it makes it easier for the customer too.
Oh, I bet it does.
Yeah, we just want to make it easy for them, and
Sure.
you know, a lot of people that order from us consistently, they're on our computers, and we can take that order lickety split, and
Sure.
you know,
Seconds, boom,
just
done.
yeah, we try really hard.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's the nature of the business, right?
I know.
Make people happy.
Make people happy, yeah, and you know. All sorts of things. We always say send love, send joy, send sympathy, send you know, send happiness, and that's
Sure.
really what people are doing. They're sending emotions.
Nice.
And I
Sending
love it.
emotions. I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That is super cool.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
That is super cool. Well,
Yeah.
Dina, thanks for joining us.
Yes,
This has been
thank
super
you.
cool.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks so
doing
much.
this. Talking with people that have their own business and something like what you got going on, that's awesome. It's incredible. It's a good story.
Thank you.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, business coach at Draw In Customers Business Coaching, co-owner of Calls on Call Shared Receptionist Services, and author of the Bold Business Book, available on Amazon. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Dina of Prairie Flowers and Gifts. Dina, one more time, the website was prairieflowersandgifts.com.
It was, yes.
Awesome. And now what a phone number?
608-837-3830.
Perfect.
Yep.
There's nothing to it, right?
Easy.
The world can just call and send some emotions right now.
That's right. Yes.
Find us airing on 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at sunprairiemediacenter.com. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link on drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome, and if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.